YouTube family, it's Sarah, and I'm coming in late with my update this week. Just pretend it's Friday because I was super busy yesterday and I didn't get to it. So this is my 64-week update out from VSG, or vertical sleeve gastrectomy weight loss surgery, which I had November 30th, 2012 in Mexicali, Mexico with Dr. Aceves. Quick numbers, I started out at a highest weight of 460, surgery day weight was 420. Last week I came in at 222.8 and today weighed in at 222.9. So a really small gain this week of a couple ounces. I'm just going to call that a maintain, to be honest. My weight did fluctuate. I saw lower than that, higher than that this week, but that's kind of how it shook out yesterday morning. So yeah, lots of stuff to talk about. I didn't get a chance to make the carb cycling video that I wanted to make this week, but I actually decided I wanted to wait until I've sort of been doing it for a few weeks just to give you guys a better idea of how it's working for me. But I am going to talk a little bit about it at the end of this video, just for people who don't know how it works, and just sort of talk about the changes and adjustments that I've made to be able to do it. But before I do that, I wanted to give a big, huge shout out and congratulations to Spoon and Waffle on their engagement. I'm glad that I can publicly congratulate you guys now, and you know I love you, and you have like one of the sweetest love stories ever, and I'm just really, really excited for you guys, and I'm so happy that Chris is going to be in Portland and you guys are going to finally be together. So hearts, love you. What else do I want to talk about? I wanted to just do a quick reminder that for the next few Tuesdays I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be answering questions. So I put up a Ask Me Anything video last week asking for questions. So I'll put a link to that video below, but certainly you can leave questions in this update as well if you want. Open to answering questions about anything, whether it's weight loss surgery related or not. And I'm going to do a series of Tuesday videos with answers to your questions. So definitely feel free to leave a question if there's something you want to know. Let's see. Oh, I had a funny NSV yesterday. I don't know if it really qualifies, but it was really windy here yesterday, and today it's been windy as well. And I was out with my mom shopping, and I got out of the car and I was waiting for her to get out, and I literally got blown backwards by the wind, like probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet, like almost fell over. That has never happened to me before. So I kind of chuckled because I was like, I guess I'm such a skinny bitch now. The wind just almost picked me up. Okay, not exactly, but yeah, that's not something that I ever remember happening before. So that was kind of funny. Although a little scary too, because I've never really had to worry about being knocked over by the wind before. So yeah, there's that. I haven't really talked about NSVs a lot lately, just because, you know, my weight hasn't been going down that quickly. My size hasn't been changing that quickly, and so, you know, the NSVs come a lot more slowly, I think. But there's certainly still things on a day-to-day basis that surprise me. You know, even things like I still have a very hard time judging what size I am, like literally how big my body is, how much space my body takes up, even compared to other people. But like I was at the doctor's office yesterday and I was sitting in the chair and I looked down and I realized like even when I was sitting, my butt didn't actually take up the whole seat of the chair. And then I was looking across at the same chair and realizing, wow, like my butt is not as wide as that chair. And that was surprising to me. So yeah, even, you know, oh my gosh, I'm at like 15, almost 15 months out. That stuff still happens. So it's pretty interesting. It's an adventure. So yeah, carb cycling. I'm going to talk about that, for a little while. So, you guys probably know, I've said this, my diet doesn't change very much, but I do make little adjustments here and there. Someone, I don't remember who it was, I'm sorry, actually commented on my last video about carb cycling and was just asking why I had decided to try it, whether it was to speed up my weight loss or whether it was just, you know, something else. it's kind of a combination of things. To be honest, it doesn't really have a lot to do with weight loss exactly. More than that, I'm just trying to, I feel like I'm at the point where I want to start transitioning into a diet that I feel like I can keep up for the rest of my life. And I think that, carb cycling is one of those things that is not really a diet. It's just a way of eating, and it's something that I could do for a long time if it helped me to maintain my weight. And it is also something that, can still go along with the idea of eating more natural whole foods and that sort of thing. And so it's kind of something, again, I'm sort of taking things from here and there and putting them together to try and find a plan or a way of eating that's going to work for me long term. So I won't lie and say that I don't hope that it does speed up my weight loss. But I don't know. It's probably kind of hard to explain, and I probably need to make a whole other video about this. But I'm sort of at the point now where I feel like I've reached my set point. And set point is something, and I don't think I talked about this, but when I talked about the book that I reviewed called The Calorie Myth, a lot of what's in that book talks about set point, and a lot of really interesting studies done on mice mostly, but that involve set point, which is your body's natural sort of weight that it wants to be at, which is from a combination of factors, a lot of it genetic and that sort of thing. And it's not that you can't change your set point, you can, but it takes work and it takes time. And, you do sort of have a natural weight that your body's happy at. I feel like I've reached that weight. And I feel like it's pretty obvious that I've reached that weight because of the slowdown in my weight loss, the sort of, I wouldn't say that I've plateaued, but, for me, based on the weight loss that I had before, it sort of is almost like a plateau. I've lost only a small amount of weight in the last, probably 3 or 4 months, maybe 10 pounds, which again, when you've lost like 220 or 25 pounds, whatever, before that, not a big loss. And it doesn't have a lot to do with my eating. I mean, it kind of did. I fell off the wagon a bit, whatever. But even outside of that, my weight loss has definitely slowed down. And I feel like it's because I'm at the point where this weight is a weight that I actually maintained for quite a while when I was like a teenager. So the smallest weight that I remember on the scale was in grade 8, and I was 13 years old, and that was 206 pounds. The smallest that I was in high school was 212 pounds, and I was probably in the 220 to 230 range for most of high school, or at least the first few years of high school. So there was a good probably like 4 years that I was right in that same range. And I really think that is kind of where my body wants to be at a size like 14, 16, in the 220s. Does that mean that I'm going to stay here? No, obviously my goal is still to get below that. But yeah, I feel like I've reached kind of my set point, and now everything that I do is kind of fighting against that, and I feel like it's going to take me a long time. So I'm not ready to say that I'm transitioning into maintenance, but what I am saying is that my concentration right now is not solely on weight loss, because I just think that will be really frustrating to me because of the fact that I know weight loss from now going forward is probably going to be quite slow. I anticipate that it might take me another 6 to 9 months to even get to my goal of being, under 200 pounds. So that's just realistically, when you're super morbidly obese and you have hundreds of pounds to lose, it is a different journey than it is for some other people. So that's just keeping it real for those of you who have a lot of weight to lose. Anyway, I'm not talking at all about what I was supposed to be talking about, which is carb cycling. So the idea behind carb cycling is that you do a combination of low and high carb days. And the reason why this is supposed to work is based on how your body burns fat. So what you're doing on your low carb days is by eating less carbs, you're forcing your body to burn fat. And on your high carb days, you are basically sort of stoking the fire, as Chris Powell would say. You are upping your metabolism to allow you to burn more fat on the days that you don't eat carbs. The idea is that if you do a solely low carb diet, that it slows down your metabolism, which, if you think about it, makes sense in a number of ways. But even if you look at results, a lot of people who do Atkins and low carb diets for a long time, their metabolism does slow down and they end up gaining weight back if they go back to eating carbs. So the idea is that you don't want to have a super high carb diet all the time, because we know that that is, not great. But you want to adjust your carbs up and down to kind of keep your body guessing. So there's a number of ways that you can do carb cycling. What's recommended as a general idea is a 1 day on, 1 day off, and then one reward day a week. What I'm doing, and that's how I started off this week, by doing 1 day on, 1 day off. But I realized that it was easier for me to do 2 low carb days and 1 much higher carb day than it was to try and do like days at 30 and then a day at like 60 to 70. So now what I've decided to do going forward is something called the turbo cycle, or at least what Chris Powell calls a turbo cycle, which is 2 low carb days, 1 high carb day. The way it's recommended in the book is on a weekly basis to do 2 low carb, 1 high carb, 2 low carb, 1 high carb, and then 1 reward day when you kind of, can eat the carbs that you want. I am not doing a reward day on a weekly basis, just because the kind of stuff that would normally be is not stuff that I normally eat. So I don't feel the need to do a reward day weekly. Every once in a while, I might do a reward day, if I want to eat pizza or eat something like that. But I generally have a hard time eating those kinds of carbs anyway. So my plan right now, I've adjusted a little bit from what I originally said. My low carb days, I'd originally said I was trying to stay under 30. For some reason, that's just really, really difficult for me. I find it's easy for me to stay under 35, but hard for me to stay under 30. So what I'm aiming for is under 35, and that's not net carbs, that's gross carbs. That includes everything. So it is still really low. Under 35 on my low carb days, and then basically between sort of 80 and 100 on my high carb days. So what I decided was that by doing those 2 low carb, try that again. By doing those 2 low carb days, I could then do 1 higher carb day, because really my aim with this too was to try and incorporate more vegetables and good carbs into my diet. And I wanted to be able to really do that in a way that, I wasn't so restrictive on the number of carbs. So I feel better about balancing things out like that. In the end, I'm probably, only eating a little bit more carb, but I'm kind of getting a lot more in on that higher carb day. Again, under 100 carbs for a regular person is not that much. That's not really a high carb day, but for me, it's still a high carb day, and I feel like it's still enough to work. So what I'm doing on those days is concentrating on doing a high carb breakfast. So something like an oatmeal or protein pancakes, or a higher carb protein shake. And then I am doing vegetables either with every meal or vegetables as snacks. My problem is that I don't want to have low protein on those high carb days. I still want to stay at, at least 60 to 70 grams of protein. So just as a matter of fitting things in, I think I'm going to have to do some vegetable snacks. So I'll be doing, and still sticking to vegetables that are lower GI stuff. So I've been doing like mushrooms with a kale, spinach, and Swiss chard blend, and butternut squash and stuff like that. And so, not a lot of like carrots or potatoes or corn or that sort of stuff. So I feel good about going forward with this. And I don't think it's going to be super difficult for me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what the results are going to be and sharing that with you guys. So yeah, look for my more in-depth carb cycling video within a few weeks. I just want to be able to give you guys some feedback on how it's going. And I will see you guys again on I will see you guys again on Tuesday. And until then, always remember, it's not just about what you've lost, it's about what you've gained. Have a great weekend.